Oh, it worked the second time. First time I tried to go live, it didn't let me. So I'm back, guys. It's been, whoops. Let's see. My last video I posted was almost 2 weeks ago, so 12 days. I do apologize for being gone for so long, but I had to deal with, I just had a lot to prepare for that flea market that I did yesterday. So that's why I've been kind of missing in action. And I didn't really have the energy to make videos, but did want to make a video to let you know how it went. It did not go so well. So basically, I did a swap meet. Let's see, it's October. I believe it was August. I did a swap meet, kind of near where I live, and that did not. I made about 170 bucks, and basically broke even as I had to rent a vehicle, as I I do not have a truck. So that one I tried out, did not go very well. It was a hot day, but anyway, and so I decided to try this flea market, which is popular at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena and here in Southern California, if you're not familiar, although you're probably familiar with the Rose Bowl. But anyway, it's been there for a long time, I believe. I never actually went to it as a buyer, but I believe it's been going on for a long time. And I tried it out yesterday. Brought all the CDs I had organized. I had to organize a bunch of CDs by artist and artist and group alphabetically, and then by genre. I had a lot of different genres. And then we brought all those, and then I also brought probably 4 or 5 boxes or crates or bins of kids' books, and then about the same amount roughly of some fiction, adult fiction. 1 second, Marcus. And so that's what I brought, and we rented a U-Haul truck. Well, I guess I can answer your question. So no, I don't have a truck. So the Gaylords are delivered to my storage unit by the people I buy from. They have a small box truck with a lift gate that can bring as many as 6 Gaylords at a time. If I or anybody else were to order more than 6, then they would just contract out with somebody that does deliveries that has a larger truck. So I pay for the deliveries because where they have their Gaylords, it's pretty far from where I am, like probably more than 30 miles, maybe further than that, maybe like 40 or so. So I would have to rent a truck, and it ends up being I'm not sure, it's about the same maybe cost, but it's just a lot easier that I don't have to actually go and pick them up. Maybe in the future at some point, if and when I get a warehouse space, you never know down the road. It might make sense at some point, but even then, if I'm ordering a lot more, it makes more sense for them just to deliver them to me. But I'm probably not going to get anything like that. Daniel says, I ever tried to make a connection with a seller from a flea market and sell your duds to him and let him handle that part? No, I haven't. Sure, Marcus, no problem. No. I don't know if there was anybody there selling a lot of CDs. From a couple of people I spoke to that came by our booth, they said there were some people selling vinyl and some DVDs, but one guy who knew a lot about music and CDs and vinyl and whatnot said that he didn't see anybody selling. I mean, people selling like a small quantity of CDs, but no one's selling the several thousand that we had out there. So no, but that's a thought. But I mean, I can always post on Craigslist or whatever. But what I'm gonna do, well, anyway, so basically, we went yesterday and got there really early. You got to set up before, or rather get there to set up before 6:30 in the morning. And there are a lot of vendors, selling all types of stuff. And we got there like 6 a.m., I think, maybe a little bit after. And there was already a ton of vendors set up. And we had a tough time getting into our space, you had a small U-Haul truck, their smallest one, 10-footer, pretty small, but a nice perfect size for what we had. And so we ended up with the help of some other vendors, some of the people that are nice. The other vendors were nice and were helping us, get parked and everything. And then we set up, and the normal crowd comes in around 9 o'clock, and it closes around like 3-ish or so. And then, so there was before 9 o'clock, it was kind of like a trickle of people. And then after 9, it picked up a good amount. By 9:30 or so, it was pretty steady. I mean, it would come and go. There'd be like suddenly a bunch of people passing by and checking out our stuff. And then there'd be nobody for, 5 minutes or whatever. So it was kind of like that, come in waves, but it was pretty steady throughout, the morning. And then around like 1:30, 1:45, around there, it just completely died off. And some of the other vendors started packing up their stuff. Some people had a lot of little things that they had to pack up. So, they were spending the time doing that kind of stuff. And then it was basically just dead by then. I think we made, like, after 2 o'clock, maybe like a handful of other sales, maybe like 2 or 3 at most. So yeah, it was pretty much dead after that. But definitely, compared to the swap meet that I did, there were way, way more people, and it was a different demographic for sure. Because it was interesting, at the swap meet, I sold a lot more kids books, and at this one, there just seemed to be a lot of people. People didn't bring their kids, or they didn't have kids. A lot of people that were either single or were, older, but I mean older as in like they could have kids, but they hadn't had them yet, or weren't going to have them, and that type of thing. So there were a lot of people that just weren't interested in kids books, which I was surprised by, but I guess kind of made sense. And then so basically, like, kids books. So I sold mostly CDs. I had some vinyl out, and there was a lot of interest in vinyl. I just didn't have very much of it. I had, all told, maybe like almost 3 crates / boxes of it, which was minimal. Excuse me. I sold some vinyl, but not a lot, just because there wasn't that many. And then, I sold a lot of CDs, and, well, a lot, but the most I sold was of CDs, and then some kids books, and then vinyl. And I literally didn't sell. I don't think I sold one adult fiction book, which was crazy because I thought there'd be some interest in it. And again, I didn't have that many, but still. So I was just imagining, if I'd only brought books, how much interest would there have really been? So it was kind of a surprise in that way. So Marcus said, nice experiment, better than a garage sale at home. I would say, I mean, better in the sense of there's going to be more people there. But also there's so many other vendors, and people are going for specific things. I mean, I think in general, people are going to that, people like just walk around. It's kind of like an event, they got food and everything, and it's the Rose Bowl, and it's huge. I mean, you can walk all the way around it, and there's lots and lots of different stuff people are selling. So, I think a lot of people go there consistently every week. I mean, every month, because it's once a month. We've met a lot of people, surprisingly, that were from out of state or lived somewhere else further away, and were just there visiting. And this was something that they were doing while they were visiting. So it's something to do, because it's kind of like a well-known, not only is the Rose Bowl well-known, but the event is well-known. So it could work I'm sure it works for a lot of people that sell certain things or higher priced things. You don't need that many sales to make good money, but selling CDs, I was selling the CDs $3 individually, and then 5 for $10, and 10 for $15. So it was pretty. I sold a few. A few people bought only 1 CD, but most people bought 5 or more. And then a couple of people, they would ask me, "Oh, will you take $2 for 1 CD?" And I said, of course, yes, because I just I want to sell the CDs, so I was willing to make a deal. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, the Marcus says more traffic, more eyes. I mean, yeah, you can get a lot of people to your garage sale, especially if you're good at advertising it. If you use, if you use social media like Facebook, you can probably drive a lot of people to it. But I think if you would do like a garage sale, but if you did like just books, just CDs or just vinyl or just DVDs, and you made it like an event. It could be a garage sale because it's in your house, or whatever. You could set it up in your garage, however you have your house set it up in the front yard, whatever's convenient. But you can make like an event out of it. Be like book sale, right? Big book sale, $1 books, or used books for $1, or used kids books, or 3,000 CDs starting at $2 a piece. Whatever, all genres, all different types. Or DVDs. You could do that with vinyl. You can make like an event about it, advertise it for a couple weeks. Advertise it on Craigslist for free. You can do it on the local apps. You can do it on some of the garage sale apps. You could pay for a little advertising, either like in a local like paper or something. But I think Facebook would be really good, and just use like, you could even do video and show people like a preview, and you could spend like $100 and probably reach thousands of people and make a big deal out of it. So anyway, I have not done this, but I'm saying that's a good idea if you're willing to put in the effort. The problem with any of this is the physical effort and labor. And where do you store all of this stuff? Whether it's books, and books are even worse. They're heavier, and they're bigger than CDs. Vinyl is heavy once you get a lot of it together. Hi. And what do you call it? CDs are the least, the smallest, least heavy, clearly, well, DVDs are going to be pretty, they're a little bit larger, but they're going to be pretty light as well. They're not that heavy. It's just those cases, the CD, it's not the discs, it's the plastic cases that make them heavier. But anyway, so yeah, instead of doing like a flea market or a swap meet, you can do something like that. I have not done it, like I said, but again, so the whole reason that I did a swap meet and I did a flea market, and you can look at me as an example. If you have a lot of duds, a lot of either books, CDs, whatever it is, vinyl, DVDs, whatever you have that you're not able to sell for enough profit on Amazon, FBA, or Merchant Fulfilled, or even individually on eBay, what do you do with all of that? Well, what I've been doing is doing eBay, but kind of sporadically, to get rid of a lot of extra excess CDs. But then I started making them into genres, putting them in, organizing them into genres and into by artist and group. And as I started to sell them in that way on eBay, I've been able to make more money per CD, versus just, I would sell like 80 of all different kinds of CDs, on eBay as a lot, and I would hardly make any money. So I figured out that with eBay, it's a real viable alternative for your duds. You can do this with books as well. You can do it with vinyl. You can do it with DVDs. Is if you drill down and you say jazz CDs, jazz, I don't know jazz that well, standards, or whatever it is. If it's heavy metal, or if it's punk rock or rap or R&B, or only Anita Baker, or only, like I just did one of Enya. I mean, Enya, of all people, who sold like millions of records. Clearly there's a big following. I had a decent sized lot of hers. It got bid up. I did it with an auction. I didn't make a ton of money, but I made it sold for like $22 for like 10 CDs. So that's way more than I ever would have made by just tossing it into a mixed lot of CDs or selling it to Declutter, whatever it is. So the whole point of doing the flea markets and the swap meet was trying to figure out what else can I do with all this excess stuff, because I've gotten into bulk. I no longer want to rely on going to thrift stores, book sales, garage sales, and what do you call them? Estate sales, because I am fortunate, whatever, lucky to have stumbled across, come across multiple sources for bulk, but the one that I continue to go to, I can bring the thrift store to me basically, but you have to make a decision. Either you're just going to get rid of all the extra books, you're going to get rid of all the extra CDs, all the stuff you can't. It's live. All the extra stuff that you can't Oh yeah, no problem. All the extra stuff that you can't, what do you call it? I just lost my train of thought. Sorry, guys. But yeah, that was the point, right? Is what do I do with all these? Oh, right. So you can either, you can recycle the extra books. You can go donate them to Goodwill. I've done this. I've done the donations. You can go find a free library. There's those little free libraries. You can try to go to bookstores. Maybe they'll give you some. A lot of times they'll just give you trade credit, though they won't give you cash. What are you going to do with the book? What are you going to do with the CDs? You're going to donate them. You're going to do declutter, where they'll give you like 5 or 10 cents a CD after you scan like 20 or 30 of them, or you just throw them out. You just say, you know what? I only want the stuff for FBA, maybe merchant fulfilled, maybe not even merchant fulfilled. So for books especially, you've got to have a way to make more money off of those extra books in a Gaylord if you're buying bulk. Otherwise, even if you're getting them for $40 a Gaylord, you're just not going to find that many for FBA. Yes, some will be better than others. You'll find 50 FBA worthy books in one Gaylord, but then another one you'll find 15 or 20, and not all of them are going to be very high priced. Yes, you'll find some that are high priced, but a lot of them won't be, et cetera, et cetera. So whether it's books or whether it's CDs or whether you're getting DVDs, mixed media, some vinyl, excuse me, whatever it is, there's got to be a way to deal with it. So what do people usually do that have some people working with them or for them as they go through tons of Gaylords a day or a week? Well, in the past, it was just, the first guy I met that, or I should say the first bulk source that I found, which was really close to where I live, and he's now out of the business, out of Amazon, as far as I understand it, or reselling. He was doing books, but he would get mixed media, and he would get a ton of CDs, and he didn't want to deal with it. So I bought CDs off of him, and he would actually give them, not in Gaylords, but give them to me boxed stuff, which was awesome. But he had, when I first met him, he had maybe like anywhere between like 3 or 4 people working for him. Kind of fluctuated, maybe up to 5, depends, but at least 3 or so guys that were sorting for him, scanning. He had, I guess, Nido scan or whatever. He had a Gaylord dumper. They would dump it onto the table, and then the guy would quickly go through it, scan things that looked promising. The rest of it would honestly just get thrown into another Gaylord, and then he would have somebody come back and pick it up for recycling. So he did not do merchant fulfilled. He did not keep books to sell on eBay, as far as he didn't tell me he did. It was all just going to recycling, and he would get very few for FBA. I think he was saying he was getting around 20 or so, per Gaylord, and he was going through a lot every day. I mean, he had guys working, I don't know if it was full-time, but at least like close to full-time, if not full-time, 5 days a week in this warehouse space, 4,000 square foot warehouse space. So he didn't want to or didn't care about all the extra books, trying to make money off of them in any other way. So what do you do, So that was kind of the experiment that I did with the swap meet in the flea market. So now that did not go well, and also I don't feel, I wrote this down. I said I don't feel that it's worth the effort to try and try to figure out how to make more money at a flea market. So we're the Rose Bowl flea market is really big. There's a lot of vendors. There's different sections. As people come in the entrance to the flea market, there's it's basically the very front of where the actual Rose Bowl stadium is. You walk in and it's right in front of you. I mean, you got to walk a little bit, but it's right there. And then there's food to your right, and then there's you just kind of loop around, and there's all these vendors. But those are the people getting hit with the flood of people as they come in. All of them see those vendors to the right or to the left. Mostly people go off to the left, and then there's a fence. I mean, there's entrances, but there's a big fence in between that main circle, and that's where I was, over there. And then towards the end of one of the rows, and there's many rows, and it's really huge. So not everybody is going to walk by. Not everybody walked by my booth, but if I paid an extra $125, $150, so if I ended up paying like $250 or more to get one of those higher traffic spaces, then I would have got probably more than double the traffic, maybe more than double. Yeah, at least double, more than double. And so I sold. So I'm not kidding. I sold $210 yesterday. That was it. That was it. So what if I doubled it and it was 420? Well, I would have had to pay $100 plus more dollars for the space. And what do you call it? Well, that's it. But basically, I wouldn't have made much more profit. And I understand too, because I talked to another vendor. Wow, I've been talking 20 minutes straight. This is what happens when you don't do the live videos for a while. I'm losing my breath. But I talked to another vendor who said he's been doing it for a couple years, and they come every month, so 12 times a year, and their price that they pay is less if you come consistently, if you buy like ahead of time. So that makes sense. You can get it for a little cheaper. But I didn't feel really that it was worth it to try that out, because the amount of effort it takes to have to rent a truck and then fill it up with all this stuff. You have to load it and then unload it at your booth, and then load it again, and then drive home or to your storage unit, to my storage unit, and then unload it again. So there's 4, loadings and unloadings, and it's just too much. I would have to make way, way more money, and even then, I just don't want to do it. So anyway, maybe some other people like to do it, or like to. Marcus said, "Did you hand out any flyers with your FBA store on them?" No, not FBA, but I did get some business cards printed up, not just for the event, but not just for the flea market, but in general. Because so I handed out a few of those, but I did have like a sign-up sheet, but no one signed up. Because what I'm doing is, guys, where I'm heading with this is, I started out doing this 4 years ago by myself, and it was great for a couple of years. And when I got into bulk, though, I realized, wow, there is a lot more money to be made in this, and there's a bigger opportunity than just myself. I can keep it smaller, just do FBA, a little bit of merchant fulfilled, maybe a little eBay, or just do Amazon, which is what I was doing for the first like 3 years or so, 2.5 years. Or I have access to, I talked to my source on Friday when he delivered he delivered 3 Gaylords, a CD Gaylord and two book Gaylords. And I said, talk to him about getting more Gaylords. And he's like, yeah, I can get you a whole truckload, which is a semi truckload, which is 46 Gaylords. That's right, 46. So, yeah, and there's people that do that, the big sellers, or even medium-sized sellers. You probably know some of them that are out there on YouTube and Facebook pages and whatnot. And so there's people that do that. But what was my point? Right. So anyway, my point was that since I got into bulk, I realized that there's a bigger opportunity than just selling on Amazon. That because I have access to so much, not just books, but access to CDs and to DVDs. Do you need something? No. Oh. And even to vinyl records. According to my source, he said they could get me like a Gaylord of vinyl records. So it's just all overwhelming, right? There's so much. So I need help into the future. But in order for that to happen, what I think I'm heading towards is a warehouse space. And I know I've talked about it before, but talk is cheap. Am I going to do it or not? Right. And I do want to do it. And I want to grow. What I think I want to do, what I know I want to do is, my name on here is Marshall Bookman. I want that to become not just my YouTube name, but turn that into my business when I finally get the warehouse and I start to go through a lot more stuff and, putting up bookshelves. And I'll answer you one second, Nathan. I'll answer you. is to have book sales, CD sales, record sales, DVD sales, etc. We'll see how it goes, but because I have access to so much good stuff that instead of recycling it or by myself just pushing it onto eBay, which is not a, that's nothing wrong with that, but trying to do it on a bigger scale and having seen a lot of people, I don't mean like a ton, but at least seeing like a handful, half a dozen or so people because of Facebook and whatnot, learning about other people in other states that have done the same thing because they have access to bulk books and everything else is going in that direction. So another thing I did is I started a Facebook page for Marshall Bookman. There's nothing really up there yet. My plan is, I'm kind of trying to figure it out here, but my plan is to try something else with Facebook Live to sell books, and we'll see if I can try anything else, but try it first of all with books locally. Do like a Facebook Live type of a sale. I can talk more about it, but anyway, I'm going to try something like that first, and then as I move towards, my idea is move towards the warehouse. My idea is if I have a strong November, December, January, that February or March, I can seriously, fill out a contract and get a small warehouse space. So Nathan asked me, what's warehouse space going for in your area? Depends on where it is. So the one I'm talking about and thinking about, which is only a couple miles from where I live in a different city, but pretty close. It's a big like business park kind of thing, I think they call it. So there's over 200 different types of, well, not 200 different types, but there's 200 plus units, and there's different types of warehouse spaces. And the rent varies, depends on how big it is. Some of them, the ones that I looked at this earlier this year. The one, hold on one second. So the one I looked at, which was, actually, I think I have it here. Here it is. Let's see. So, no. Okay. This is always the fun part of being live. Let's see. So this is industrial warehouse with one office. So the ones I looked at were 1,087 square feet and 1,119 square feet, and they have warehouse, and they have an office area. It can be like reception or office area, and then they have a bathroom in the back. I saw ones that did not have well, they all had restrooms, but I saw one that did not have a office, so that was part of the warehouse. So you can either, I would get the office though. That would be a place for like listing FBA, listing on Amazon, listing on eBay, whatever. Holding important meetings. I don't know. You gotta have the bathroom. Okay, so for 1,087 square feet, it was, now this is, I don't know, I'm assuming the prices are still similar, but it's $1,032, and then the 1,119 square foot is $1,063. So it's just slightly bigger. So yeah, for about 1,100 square feet, it's just over $1,000. Yeah. So it's basically like, yeah, it's a little less than $1 a square foot, I believe, is what that comes out to. So I don't know, Nathan, if you're still here. So that's that particular one. I looked on Craigslist the last couple of weeks, and there's some other nearby cities, different city, that I found one that there was one that was like 1,500 plus square feet, and the rent was like $1,200 plus dollars. So even cheaper. I think it was like 75 cents or so a square foot. So that was even cheaper. And that one, I mean, 1,500, That's big. I mean, this one's only 1,000 square feet. I looked at these, and the layout's really nice. Oh, loading dock. Yeah, these don't. The one I'm talking about, the 1,000 square foot, they do not have a loading dock. They just have a roll up door. But honestly, I mean, I could technically fit a trailer truckload of books into, what do you call it? Into the warehouse space. Sorry, guys, I'm getting a little out of it. But I probably would not. It would probably be, I don't know. I don't know how it would go, but probably less than that, because that's 46 Gaylords, and I would need to have, yeah, I would start a little smaller than that. But I mean, loading dock would be nice, but I don't think it's necessary. Good question, Marcus. It's funny you asked that, because my source that I spoke to, he said they have an electric forklift, which I don't. Maybe you guys know more about forklifts than I do. Is that good or bad, better or worse than, I guess, a gas one? I don't know. But they said they have one, and he'd be willing to sell it to me for what I thought was pretty inexpensive. I was thinking thousands of dollars, and he offered it for me for less than 1,000. But I don't know how old it is or whatever. But yeah. So I mean, it depends, Marcus. So the idea is with books, with a warehouse space, is I get the warehouse space, and then I need to, it's like a lot to do. So the idea is that I start doing more books. And what I mean by that is, ordering more Gaylords of books and clearly going through them for FBA. But then what is left, a few will go possibly merchant fulfilled, and then some might go eBay. But I would probably keep a lot of the good ones for a book sale. And as I start to go through more and more of those, I got to find some shelving, and part of the warehouse would become a bookstore, basically. So those are all things to consider. 1,000 square feet just, is not very big in general. But to split it and have part of it be for Gaylords and sorting, excuse me, and then the other part of it, half of it or whatever, be for a bookstore, it's not going to be a very big bookstore. So, but you got to start somewhere. So yeah, I might need to buy that a forklift for stacking them. Just depends on, because I would need help. I'd have to hire somebody to help me with the sorting, and hopefully my ideal situation is I have somebody sorting, and then have somebody scanning, and then have somebody, listing for FBA. Because the books for FBA, that's the thing, they're cheaper to buy, the Gaylords, but there's just not that much for FBA. So in order to make some money, I'm really going to have to do more. No, Papa. I'm going to have to do more. I'm going to have to do more merchant fulfilled, and or make more money off of those with like a book sale type of situation. So this is exactly the way that a lot of these other book resellers have gone about it. Is they have a warehouse space, and they use a part of their warehouse space to run. They start out doing a monthly book sale, promote it big time, have a big opening, and then see how it goes from month to month. And if it's going well, then they turn it into a weekly thing, as in like every Saturday type of a deal. And then if that goes well, maybe they'll expand to a bigger warehouse, or they'll do multiple days a week, maybe a Friday, Saturday, or whatever. I don't know. And then it inevitably leads to being open every day. If you're going to need to have a bigger space, of course. But that's kind of where I'm heading. So yeah, so basically I'm going to use. Yeah, Marcus, it's true. He says going bigger will require more labor. I know. That's the thing. So if I hire even one person to help me get things up and running and moving faster, I'm going to have to immediately start paying that person. Yeah, you can hire temps. And I need to be making money. So I know with the CDs, that's the thing. I know with the CDs, I can make way more money per Gaylord. There's a lot more money in those than the books in terms of Amazon money. But it's tricky, right? I've never done something like this before. Get a warehouse space and have a lease and have to pay that every month. It's not just the lease; it's they require insurance. At least at this business park, they require insurance, which is probably not that expensive, but I still need to get it. I'm going to need to get internet. Then I have to pay utilities. So, electricity and that type of stuff. So, it's not going to be $1,100 a month. It's going to end up being like $1,300 or more, $1,400 or more a month just to maintain the space. So in order for me, and also you have to pay double to move in. So you don't just pay, you got to pay whatever the rent is. If it's $1,100, you got to pay double that to move in, as they're like, what do they call it? I forgot what it's called. Just it's the same with when you're renting an apartment. Not the down payment, but I can't remember. But anyway, they hold on to that until your lease is up and then give it back to you, as far as I understand. So it requires, at least probably like, security deposit. Yeah. Sorry, I'm blanking out. Security deposit. And so the rent, first month's rent is roughly $1,100. There's other costs go in with that. So let's just say it's around $1,400 a month. So it's like almost $3,000 to move in, but there's things that I need. I made a list. I don't know where I put it. Yeah. Anyway, there's stuff you need, you need I have some tables. You need more chairs, a desk in the office. I have a printer. Do I get another computer? There's a lot of things that slowly, you don't need everything immediately, but I don't have a Gaylord dumper. Do I get a Gaylord dumper, a Gaylord tipper? I mean, I just found out that that's something. No. No. Hey, this way. And yeah, so those are all expenses. So, immediately. So in order for me to do that, you move in, you spend like $3,000, which is not that much to start a business. I mean, my business has already started, but to start a new or expansion of my business. I mean, I watch Shark Tank. You guys watch Shark Tank, and you see these guys and women and men spending, I mean, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, even more, to do a business that they're not even going to make money for a while. Or there's no, love the tank. There's no, there's no guarantee in anything, but there's no like definitive path or whatever. They're always like, oh, so you spent $100,000 on this business to do all whatever you had to do to get it running, get the distributor and the molding and the patent and blah, 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 blah. But have you sold anything? And they're like, well, we have a Facebook page or a Kickstarter and we sold like 500 pre-orders or something, so, and they're $100,000 in. So, that's the great thing about doing this kind of business, where it's relatively inexpensive to start by yourself. And then if you want to ramp up, it's still not that devastatingly expensive. I don't have to, mortgage our house and pull out a bunch of money or anything like that. I can use the money that I've built up and made selling by myself on Amazon and eBay. So that's kind of why I want to, do as much as I can these next couple of months to try to sell a lot for Q4 in January. And so I can get to the point to where I have a decent amount of money saved up. So spending $3,000 or more just to move in is not going to, kill me. So those are, definitely things to consider. But before I do that, I mean, that's why I'm going to build up this Facebook page. I appreciate it if you guys can like my Facebook page. Yeah. Okay. Hey, no. Okay.
Está buscando su varita mágica.
Okay, yeah, there you
¿No
go.
has visto acá
No,
adentro?
no,
No está.
no. Go. I forgot what I was saying. So anyway, yeah. So I appreciate it, guys. If you could go to Facebook. No, Diego. No, no. I'd appreciate it if you could go to Facebook and look up Marshall Bookman. There's nothing really on there yet. I posted one thing and put a photo and that kind of stuff. But I'm going to start posting to it. It's much appreciated if you could like it. I don't have anybody liking it so far just because I haven't promoted it. But anybody watching this in the future that regularly watches me, I appreciate it. I know you guys are not going to be buying from me, but that's okay. It's appreciated because what I'm gonna end up doing is doing some Facebook ads to push traffic locally, people locally to it, because I'm gonna try to do. So I've seen two different people do this where they have live auctions, not traditional auctions, but live sales, book sales through Facebook Live. They just have their phone or whatever, and they stream it through Facebook Live, and they do it. Some of them have a store or whatever, or wherever they do it from, and they have books, and they sell them, and basically people buy them through online, and they either come pick them up in person or they ship them out to them. So that's something that I'm going to try out as a way to build up a following, and then when I finally do move in to the warehouse, and then I slowly, start to get everything organized for an actual book sale, I can go to that audience, go to that following and say, hey guys, guess what? I finally got the warehouse space. I know you've been watching the sale, the online sale. I mean, the participating in the auctions, the Facebook Live auctions. And our whole idea was to do this is to get more books in more people's hands, because there's around where I live, there's not really very many at all bookstores, period, but there's certainly not like used bookstores. And there's not a really great place for parents to find books for their kids, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the idea, is that it starts, you'd be like, oh, so you guys, you kind of build it up, right? Like, which is what I'm going to do with the the Facebook Live sale. I'm gonna have to end the video soon because I'm kind of like misfiring here in my brain. So yeah, that's the idea, is that I'm gonna sit down with my wife and we're gonna talk about it and figure out all the details, all the logistics of doing that type of sale. But it would be great if you guys could like the Facebook page, and if you want to join on those sales when they eventually happen, hopefully in the next month or so, hopefully less time. That's the cool thing about Facebook, is you can pay a small amount of money, a couple bucks a day, $5 a day, whatever, and I can drive traffic, people to my page, even using a video, and showing them, here, look at all these books we have. Yeah, we're going to have sale. If you're living locally in the area, you can come by and we can set up a time. You can pick them up and just blah blah blah. We're gonna have kids books. We're also gonna do some young adult books. We're also gonna do some fiction books, adult fiction books. That type of thing. Oh, Nathan says, how'd you get into books? Oh, as opposed to the millions of other products on the market. So I started my first September of 2014 is when I sent in my first shipment of books, and the reason that I found out about it was actually YouTube, of all places. There's a guy who, I don't know if he still vlogs, but he used to vlog a lot back then, and a young guy, and he something Picker, I can't remember his name, but in the East Coast, and he was doing full-time. He didn't have a job. He was his own business, selling books on Amazon, and making good money at it, and posting about it and all the intricacies and workings of it. But before that, I stumbled across that on YouTube. But before that, I had stumbled across something else It was like a program or a course about how to do retail arbitrage. So specifically go to your local Target, Walmart, Walgreens, um, uh, CVS, whatever, and look at the stuff on sale, scan it, buy as much as you can, send it into Amazon, mark it up. But I wasn't really interested in that, but I love books, always been a reader. And so when I found out that it was possible to sell books on Amazon for money, for a profit, I started going around to, I went to a couple of thrift stores and that sort of thing. I had no idea what I was doing. It took me months to figure out the whole sales rank and what I should send in. And it took me a couple of years really to get much better at what to send in and all that. So that's how I got into books. But because it was inexpensive and I liked them and I know books really well and it seemed kind of fun, and it was. And then it just led to books ended up leading to, what did I do after books? I guess I did some VHS tapes for a little bit. I sold like over 300 VHS tapes through FBA. I also, then I did some records a couple years ago. 2016, I sold a good amount of records in Q4. I still love records. They're just time consuming. And then, I got into CDs and DVDs, but not on Amazon, on eBay. And then a year and a half ago, I started doing eBay because I had so much extra stuff. So anyway, that's kind of what happened. But yeah, so I'm going to go. It's been fun. I'll hopefully have something interesting to talk about tomorrow. I'm doing a ton of eBay listing. Oh, that's the other thing. So kind of what I figured out, well, for now, what I'm going to be doing by myself, well, by myself, but for my business is I'm going to spend 1 week this week on eBay. And then next week I'm going to do only Amazon and then eBay and Amazon. And because the reason I'm going to do that is because what has happened to me is I've let books and CDs pile up because I have not been consistent about getting them out the door on eBay. Until I have a warehouse I'm doing, or even actually until I'm doing initially trying out these Facebook Live things for books. We'll see. Maybe I could do it for other items too, for CDs. I don't know if that would work. I haven't seen anyone doing it, but you never know. Maybe records, who knows? DVDs, I'm sure would do well. Excuse me. But until I get something like that going, I've got to just push eBay to try to get stuff out. Otherwise, it's just sitting there. So instead of it just sitting there, I might as well list it. So yeah, so I'm going to do that. I already have I have 3 Gaylords I need to go through for Amazon, but I just don't have much space to deal with all the excess stuff that I'm going to inevitably get. Good stuff, a lot of the books will not be good, but most of the CDs that are not broken or missing, I'll be able to sell those on eBay and other ways, aside from just Amazon. So that's kind of where I am with that. Yeah. By the way, did you guys, I made a video a couple of videos ago about that. What is it called? Anyway, someone just fell, so I got to go. The Amazing Selling Machine. Did you guys see that? Did you see how much it cost? It came out that it costs $5,000. So I would say stick to books. Stick to this kind of stuff that you can get. If you've been doing it for a while, it's fine. But if you're new, stick to the cheaper stuff. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars for a course, no matter how amazing it is or great it is or how much hand holding there will be. If you have the money and you don't mind spending it, go for it. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. I will talk to you tomorrow. And as always, keep booking. And please follow my, what do you call it? Subscribe. Sorry, I'm getting confused here. Subscribe to YouTube channel if you're not already subscribed. And it would be really helpful if you like my Facebook page. Just go to Facebook, type in Marshall Bookman. It'll pop up. It's pretty dead right now there, but it will pick up soon. Thank you, guys.